I've been excited about this this day quite some time now, and here we are. This iconic moment. This is a world exclusive for us at the Northwest Guitar Show. It's a world exclusive that you just won't see again. You never see all these iconic guitars in one place at one time ever again, I would bet. So please give a massive hand to Phil Harris for making this possible, and also to Arthur Ram, who's brought, the Paul Kossoff Les Paul for us, and for the band who's going to play. This is going to be a mixture of Phil telling you all about the guitars and also playing some stuff on them as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much. I'm going to hand you over to the guys. Thanks.
Hello there. Well, basically, we'll start off with playing sort of a little bits and pieces, so you can see what the thing actually does. As you're probably already aware, this is the Peter Green Gary Moore Les Paul 59 that I've had the pleasure of actually running into at different times in my life. Which the first time, if you read Guitar and Bass magazine, you'll find, I did mention this, I saw it when I was 15 years old, last year. Unfortunately not. But anyway, I was in a little band playing a pub in the Oval in London. And what actually happened was, we were downstairs playing this thing called the Surrey Tavern. It's a pub attached to the actual cricket ground, the Oval cricket ground. And what actually happened was, Fleetwood Mac were playing that night and their support act hadn't shown up. So the guy running the pub, he actually said, would you mind, rather than playing in the pub on this Sunday evening, going upstairs and supporting the band? And I never knew who it was. So we went in the little trade lift up to the Surrey rooms, which was above the pub. And I saw this orange amplification. And then right in front of it, I saw this. And it was love at first sight, obviously. And I was looking at it, and the roadie come and took it away. And I was rather disappointed, because at the time, I was still a lucky boy. I had a 1968 gold top Les Paul. And anyway, and I watched Peter Green that night. He even smiled at me as I come off stage, started playing my little bit of my Rep RT, which is sort of Paul Kossoff, Peter Green, poor man's version of. And that was the first time I saw it. Gary Moore, when he got it from Peter, he was playing in London. He invited me to the gig. Thin Lizzy was playing with at the time, and I had the same manager as Gary. So I went to the gig and I saw this guitar at the gig. I had a go on it. I was playing so loud in the dressing room through an AC30 that Phil Lynott threw something at me, and Gary whipped the guitar off me in about 2 seconds, because I was all going crazy trying to get ready to go and play a gig, and there's me blowing my arse off on this. So I've run into it a few times, and last time I saw it was back in '89 when I sold Gary the guitar he finally had until he died, and that was the one he called Stripe. But I actually sold him that in '89, and I saw this guitar then. And then 2 years ago, I was told by the owner he'd like me to be the custodian of it. So for the last 2 years, I've been sort of loving this guitar and taking it many places. Joe Bonamassa, in fact, it's still got Joe's strings on it with the it's overstrung over the tailpiece. I didn't change him. I thought maybe it might rub off a bit on me. So basically, just to play a few bits so you can hear what it does, because it is a great guitar, and it's a privilege to try and get some of that from it, what these great guitar players have done with this very piece of wood. So I think to start this, we'll start with maybe one of the best tribute to this guitar and the people who have played it. Oh, by the way, one last little detail. Do any of you wonder why Gary's got a set of 60s knobs on the treble pickup and a set of the original 50s ones on the bass? He told me at the time I actually saw this guitar I sold him Stripe. He could look, without looking down, he could see which set of knobs, it was always like this. So by having the different height, you could see the knobs as well, because the curvature of this guitar was actually higher than any other Les Paul standard I've ever owned. And that was his reason. And Vantage guitars have obviously made a lot of money out of that, so everyone's a winner, really. Thank you. It's thank you. It's very hard because as a player, it's like you're playing the Holy Grail, and you have a responsibility to it, and you just can't get away with that. And it does sort of rest quite heavily on your shoulders, because if I play crap, it makes the guitar sounds great, but I'm playing crap, it's just no good. So I do feel a lot of pressure playing this guitar. Since I've had it, believe it or not, I don't really play it. I've looked at it, but because every time you pick up and play it, it's got such a kudos for the people who have used it, that I end up sort of feel a little bit. To give you an example, I had it in my office when I first had the guitar, and I got a space beside my desk where there's 3 guitars normally. There's a Strat and a Les Paul and a 335, old guitars. And I put this on the wall, and that afternoon my work was crap, because it's like trying to work with Humphrey Bogart looking at you, and it just blew me away. So except for when I've actually got this guitar out to use it for particular like outings, like the Joe Bonamassa thing, and Bernie Marsden wanted to see it, and all sorts of people. Other than that, it stays locked away in the bank down in Beckenham, and that's where she resides, you know. But I am really pleased to be able to play it today, and so you guys can listen, hear it, and see a little bit of the Greeny Moore magic. Anyway, we'll do another number now. Hey! Gary's ghost is here. Here we go. Thank you. I do find the sort of Gary Moore thing. Sorry? Oh, thank you. This is a bit of a burst-tastic afternoon, this, because I'm littered with Les Pauls. Very pleased to be and very humbled. I don't take this for granted. And another one of my old mates has just shown up, which is the Keith Richards Satisfaction Les Paul. So, Exile on Main Street, you name it. Jesus. The last time I saw that guitar, funny enough, was at an audition. I was 18, it was in 1973, and there was a guitarist there that actually, I don't know whether he actually stole it or whether he actually received it, but he had that guitar and it was been freshly stolen from Keith Richards. And he didn't get the audition, I did. So there's some justice somewhere. Yeah, it's a real old mate, that one. But anyway, we'll get round to that. I'd like to introduce you to some of the guitars so you know exactly what you're looking at. Obviously this one sort of speaks for itself. It's the Gary Moore Peter Green guitar, as we said earlier. The one down there is another, to my heart, Mr. Kossoff was one of my idols, one of my main idols. And that's the last Les Paul that Paul had, and he used it a hell of a lot, that standard. And it's the guitar he actually died with, and the chap that brought it today, Arthur Ram. Arthur's had this guitar since Paul died, so it's been the same ownership since Cossie went. And the nice thing, there's always, as they say in life, there's a beginning, a middle and an end. We all have that. There's nothing else is certain in this world, and that's going to be born and you're going to die. Everything else is up for contention, really. But the black guitar over there is a 1955 Les Paul Black Beauty. And if you go on the internet and have a scout around, you'll see a young 13-year-old Paul Kossoff. And that's his first Les Paul. So what we got here as well is the first Les Paul and his final Les Paul. So it's very fitting to have those two together, you know, because in between those two guitars, the man made an absolute massive impression on all of us and how we play guitar and the rest of it. So I'm really privileged to have those two here. And the one at the front there is a little bit of my indulgence. When I had this guitar, I thought, how can I own the Peter Green guitar? Well, not owning it, looking after it. Let's not get above ourselves. I thought, how can I have this guitar and not try and do, or at some point, because you have to go back to America. In fact, there's talk of it going back in the near future, unfortunately. But so I went to the best guitar maker that makes Les Pauls. He's numero uno. Some of you know who he is. I can't say who he is. And he took measurements from this guitar, intimate, down to the router flew off and making the pickup routing, and the top of this guitar is more curved than any registered curvature of a Les Paul face. And that's the replica he made me. And what this guitar is, because of my first vision of this was in 1970, I had him make me one which is as it was when Greeny owned it. And that guitar is by micrometer the same as this. Even the woods are certified from the same forest at the same time, and it's all 59 spec. The only thing on that's not 59 spec are the pickups, because I've been working recently, I'll get round to it, because I'm a fastidious old git, so I actually sort of work with a great pickup guy, and we've actually managed to recreate original Gibson paint and apply for humbuckers, identical plastic, identical construction, and most importantly, identical sound. So I've got a set of those in that guitar, so we'll give you a quick listen later. Just to see how close you can get to something like this without selling your house. So we'll have a go on that later. So that's basically explains. And also over here, we've got the Arthur had a reissue made by Gibson, and they made him an artist prototype, which is that one there, which is nice to sort of show you guys when we get onto the Cossie thing, because that's a great sort of compliment from the Gibson company themselves. Right, let's do another song. Thank you. Thanks very much. I'm going to change guitars now, because I think we've got a lot to get through, so let's move on. But I think we're giving the old girl a good turnout for its last appearance in England. And please God, one day she'll come back and we'll be equally entertained by this wonderful piece of wood. Peter Green, Gary Moore. These things are so close they make these days. I sort of pick up this guitar and like, all of a sudden I've got to make sure I've got the right guitar. Oh, except we call Paul Kossoff. He never looked after nothing, did he? He didn't, seriously. If it worked, there's a famous Free album, Free Live, 1972, 73, whatever. And you listen to that, that's all you hear on the first number of The Hunter. Because it's the Jack bloke basically doing exactly that. Hang on. Let's try and free this lead up a bit. I'll tell you what, he's having a go at me from upstairs, isn't he? He's paying me back, I think, for something. Let's put this through the strap and make sure we can try and do away with the extra sound effects. And we might get away with it. Well, here we go. Another Les Paul standard that's synonymous to this country. I've not actually seen this guitar and played it since I was 19, which is 40 years ago, unfortunately. And it was in Orange Music. Paul had sold this guitar and his natural fronted Les Paul. For reasons we don't need to go in today, let's keep it positive. And I saw this guitar for sale for £450. Bear in mind, in 1974, it was a lot of money. And I love the guitar. I love the fact it was Paul's, but it's had a big neck repair, and being at the time a bit more purist, and there wasn't the respect that we got today for these wonderful pieces of history that these are steeped in today. And I didn't buy it. I didn't buy the natural one because I wanted a Sunburst, and that was 550 quid. But here we are, all these years later, and I'm extremely pleased to have a chance to see what this old girl's going to do. So, no further ado, let's try and pay a bit more of a tribute to the man and see how we go. Right. And let's tune it first. Right, ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. you like that? It's, I can't explain what a privilege it is to be standing here playing all these iconic guitars. That's what this guitar always did, didn't it? You know, it's always made that wonderful sound. Honestly, I might not have played it for 40 years, but they all feel like old friends. They really do. These are just outrageous pieces of wood, they really are. So I think we'll do one more for Paul, and then we'll swiftly move on, because there's so many things to go through. So my favourite album of Freeze, and what got me into Mr. K, was Tons of Sobs. It was 1969, I was 14. I got the bug to be a lead guitarist, and I sat down and learnt that album and got my take on what he did, because I can't copy people because I'm too bloody lazy. When people do dead-on copies, I can't do that, I'm just lazy. And now I say, as a cop-out, that I don't do it because, you know, I like to play it my way. The truth is, I don't bother to sit down and learn it their way, which I suppose can be looked on any way you want it. But I heard that album, that was the one between Peter Green, Need Your Love So Bad, and Tons of Sobs. That is pretty much what you see as this fella in front of you, my influences, and that's why I've worked over a long period of time, and I've owned a lot of these guitars, 58 to 60 standards. But I must say, they're not all good, as much as people might get you to believe that, but some are good, some are brilliant. These guitars are actually quite God-given to stand and play them. I almost feel that I'm just the instrument to which the guitar can express itself. I'm only there to trigger the guitar. It's not to do with me, it's beyond that, which is a privilege in itself. I'm going to do a little bit of a tune-up, because that was way out, in case you all noticed. And then we'll do the final Paul sort of tribute. Thank you. Right. We'll swiftly move on. Let's see if Paul can give us a final crackle here. No, he did. There you go. We can hit some reality now. This is my, as I said before, this is the Peter Green replica guitar with these pickups that I've been working on, and it's the first time they've actually been heard in public. So let's just see what you think, and we'll do a little bit and see what happens. Right, without the aid of a tuner or a safety net, as I say, this is the, as I said before, the replica guitar, but let's have a listen and see if we can see, for us mere mortals today, can something recreate this, and as I said before, not cost you your house. Right, so, you know, right? Right. Now we've saved something I never knew was going to be arriving till last. I'm not very good at playing Keith Richards stuff, to be honest with you, but we'll have a listen to the guitar itself, yeah. I'm not out of it enough. Not anymore anyway. Thanks for that. Right, let's get rid of this, won't be a sec.
Let me trip you up.
What?
Trip you up and go flying into all